Hello, welcome to this video. I'm here to help you in your process towards the General Chapter 2020, to help you engage with the key question at the center of this chapter process. Can we still live our purpose at the beginning of this third centenary? This is a key question. It will be discerned at the General Chapter 2020 and not before, and we must all resist the temptation to want to bring an answer to it, because before we can answer the question we need to gather a certain amount of information. And on this video I'm going to talk to you about the word purpose at the heart of this question. What do we mean by purpose, and what do we need to explore to understand better our purpose? So here I've got a tool, a model to help us understand what we mean by purpose. And to understand the concept of purpose, let me explain to you quite briefly how an organization gets to be. How is an organization born into being? So it all starts in the context. In this model, as you can see, it's the green circle. In the context, that's the world around us. In this context, there are needs. There are people maybe in poverty, people who are undereducated, people who've lost touch with God, with faith, who are at a loss. There may be people who are poor in terms of health. A certain amount of needs in this world. And as a person, this is the blue circle here, as a person, and this was, I think, the case of your founder, as a person we can see those needs and we can feel the urge to respond to them. So we start responding to them individually, and maybe we gather a few people around us and together we respond to these needs individually, as persons, let's say. Until one day we feel that something more is happening, and in a way an organization is about to be created. This is the red circle, the circle system. The organization brings together those people who've wanted to respond to these needs, and it creates a structure in which they will together, as an organization, as a congregation, as an institute, they will respond to those needs. And this is where purpose starts. Purpose is at the cross-section between system and context. In other words, the purpose of an organization, the purpose of an institute, is the impact it is meant to bring to the world around it. It is the response, and with it the impact, the transformation that it is supposed to generate in the world around it. Now, your founder started the Institute about 200 years ago, as we know, and at the time the world around him was very different to what it is now. The people, the persons, were very different, and the system that he created was very different to what it is now. The system now has grown a lot. It's become more complexified, maybe even more complicated. It has processes, it has structures, it has procedures for decision making, etc. It's become a much more complex system. But most important of all of these evolutions is the world. The world around us has evolved a lot. It's very different now than what it was 200 years ago, and those changes are actually happening quite quickly now. So when we ask ourselves, can we still live our purpose at the beginning of this third centenary, before we can answer this question, we need to first of all explore our purpose today. Do we live it? Do we still live it in the various parts of the body? Or have we just drifted away from it? But if we do live it, how do we live it today? We also need to explore, of course, the world around us, the context. How much has the context evolved? What's different now? What are the new trends? Where is this world evolving towards? Because this is where you are meant to bring your response. This is where you are meant to impact. So if you're not clear about what the world is like, you can't be clear about what's the impact, what's the transformation that you, as the Holy Family of Border, are meant to bring to this context. You will, of course, also need to explore the system. How are you functioning now? What is life-giving in the way you're functioning? What is life-draining? What helps you fulfill your purpose? What holds you back, hinders you from fulfilling your purpose? You will also need to explore the persons. Who are you? Where are you? Not only today, but in the next 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 years. Where will you be? How many will you be? What will be the age profile? Because if you're to ask yourself, can we still live our purpose, you also need to ask yourself, well, to answer that, you need to be clear about who will be there to live and fulfill our purpose. You see, we're in the discernment process, and this stage is the stage where you are gathering the information for the discernment. You're not answering the question, you're diving into the reality to gather all the elements, all the information for a proper discernment to take place at the General Chapter 2020, where the capitulants together will create the body of the chapter, and with the work you're doing now at your provincial chapter, they will be able to bring this together, develop a global picture of the world around them, around you, the system, how it's functioning, and the persons. And once they've done that, they will be able to listen to what God is trying to say to you as an institute with that question, can we still live our purpose at the beginning of this third centenary? And this is where this big mural comes in. You've already created this mural with the 3 circles, person, context, system, and all the cross sections between all the circles. And so your work during the provincial chapter is going to be to explore the reality through a set of questions that was provided to you, to explore the reality of the body as you see it in all those different circles and their cross sections. And the fruit of your work will then be able to feed the discernment of the General Chapter 2020, the place where, as I mentioned before, this is where the discernment will take place. This is where the body of the chapter, of the General Chapter, will be able to open up to listen to what God wants to say to you about this key question, can we still live our purpose at the beginning of this third centenary. Okay, so here we go. I can only wish you now to have a very fruitful provincial chapter. All the best to you.